Okay, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Thursday, which is actually Friday in disguise. Did you get a nice long weekend?
Yay.
Yeah, are you going to do anything fun?
I'm having good food after school with my
Good food?
Korean barbecue.
Ooh, very good. Good choice. So, Taj, anything?
Nothing much.
Nothing much?
Yeah.
Quiet weekend? Relaxing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Edel, fun weekend?
I'm going to the gym.
You're going to the gym?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. No, maybe I will have plans, but during the weekends, no, I will decide.
Okay. Yeah, going to the gym is good. Hmm.
What about you?
What about me? Well, tomorrow I have that professional development thing,
Ouch.
so I gotta do that.
You can skip though, right? Will they notice if you skip?
uh, well, I really shouldn't, right? It's a professional obligation to do, so I probably shouldn't skip out on it. No, nobody will notice, but that's the problem with being a professional. You kind of have to do things
Yep.
without being watched. So yeah, I'll do that, and report cards are coming out on Monday. So I have some marking and grade entering and grade card things to prepare. So I have a lot of work to do this weekend. Um, my partner and I are going to go and have couples photos taken because we don't have any really good pictures of us. So we're going to do that.
Professionally taken, like with the photographer.
Professionally taken.
Oh,
Although
that
it's
sounds very easy.
Well, I don't know. We'll see how it is. It's free though because this photographer, I think she just moved to Vancouver, but she has no portfolio. Like she has no photos she
Oh.
can show. So she's gonna shoot a bunch of couples for free just so she can have photos to show other people to
Do you
get
have your outfits?
get them to pay. Well, sort of. I'm mostly gonna wear something like this.
Oh.
So I don't I don't dress very differently. You probably noticed, or maybe you haven't. So um, I'll dress a slightly nicer version of this.
Then when the report cards come out, it's time to get nagged by the parents.
Are the parents going to be all over you?
Yeah, my mom's gonna keep talking and talking and talking about my grades.
What's she going to say?
She's gonna be like, if I get B, why B? You can get A and stuff.
And then if you get an A, what will she say?
Good.
Oh, I was going to say, why didn't you get an A plus?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe an A plus plus.
Yeah.
The stereotype is kind of true though. Like Asian parents are like, especially the parents like Chinese Indonesian parents from my country. They're like, they push the children to get good grades, and some parents even take out the belt or the slippers or.
Big. A lot of focus on education, right? A lot of pressure. Do you think that's good?
Well, pressuring might be okay, so but not like not too extreme, but using violence or no. But I'm glad my parents have never like raised their hand at me or something.
It's true. That's a bit much. Yeah.
You live with your family?
No, back home. I came here alone.
Um, yeah, okay. Well, anyway, that's my weekend. Anything else you guys want to talk about before we start?
No, I'm just excited for long weekend.
Yeah. Yeah, hopefully it'll be nice. I think the weather's Sunday's going to be nice, I think. Sunday might be the only nice day and then it's raining the rest of the time, but
Ouch.
that's
Is it a
okay.
long weekend?
Well, it is for you because I have professional development tomorrow. So
You don't have class tomorrow?
well, I have class tomorrow, but you do not.
With you. So tomorrow's Friday, right?
Tomorrow's Friday. You're sleeping in. You're not coming here, unless it's university. Sorry, university classes are not. I should qualify that. University classes don't count. So this is a
High school?
this is a high school secondary PD day, so there's no class for secondary. But if you have a UT course, if you have a university course, business as usual.
Tomorrow I don't have any duty course.
Okay.
That's a subject that I have no class tomorrow.
Yeah.
Not even UT.
Okay. That's good. Sorry if you have a UT class, I apologize. Sometimes I forget about them.
What
And
do you do in this professional
what do I do? You know, it's basically like a class, right? And they're going to teach me, I think they're going to teach me novel assessment strategies for learning or something is what, I think that's the topic. So we'll see.
Like in Columbia College?
No, well, usually it would be at a school somewhere in the area, but they're still virtual because of COVID, so it'll be an online.
Is it under Columbia College?
No, it's set up by the Federation of Independent Schools, which we are a part of. So the public schools have a school district that they're part of, but we're not really part of the school district. We're kind of different. So we're under a Federation of Independent Schools. Good morning. Yeah, so we're a little different, but that's who kind of organizes it, and then we go to it. So all of us teachers will be going to something, maybe not the same session or the same class, but we'll all do something tomorrow.
Do you teach UTs?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
Which classes do you teach?
I only teach about one per year. So next term I'm going to teach Anthropology 110.
What's that?
That's Introduction to Anthropology.
Oh.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll teach.
No, I think I'll take anthropology.
You're going to take it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I love your classes.
Cool.
I don't think it's related to my major that I want to take, so sadly I don't think I can.
What's your major?
I think business.
Business? Okay. Well, I mean, anthropology is a good, like if you need an arts credit, like sometimes you need just a random arts class. Anthropology usually fulfills that, but don't take it if you don't need to. Or if you don't want to, don't do it. But yeah, sometimes you need an elective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, are we ready? Are we ready? Edel, are you ready? Okay. Here we go, people. So, I didn't say good morning to anyone. I'm sorry. Unadi, good morning. Crazio's here. Good morning, Crazio. Jesse is here. Good morning, Jesse. Kayla's here. Good morning, Kayla. Adon is here. Hello, Adon. Good morning to you. And Alicia. Hello, Alicia. Good morning. Okay. So, where are we here? Right. So yesterday we watched a little video on romance according to Harrison Ford movies, and actually I was talking with my partner about this last night because, I'd kind of asked you guys if you had, if you knew who he was or if you'd seen any of his movies, and most people kind of hadn't, right? And so I was thinking last night, I was like, maybe I should try and find something more current, right? Like more like something that you guys would have watched, right? And I was thinking about it, but I was like, yeah, but also, it's not just to point out the fact that these movies are really bad. It's to kind of show you a pattern of behavior, right? Or things that you might see in movies. So I don't really want to point out these movies in general, but I want to sort of bring it to your attention so that you can see it in other places, right? And so, maybe I don't need something super current because I want you to look for these kind of things when you're watching whatever you want to watch, Do you see some of these same things happening in other movies? So, yeah, I was kind of like, I was on the fence last night. I was like, should I find something a little more, connected with what you guys are watching now? And I was like, yeah, but, you guys can watch what you want to watch. But, I want you to look at what you're watching critically, not necessarily anything about this guy or these movies, right? I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, I recognize Harrison Ford once I saw his picture from Star Wars. But
Yeah.
At first, I was like, who's that?
Yeah. But I mean, does it matter that does it matter that you haven't really seen these movies or you're not familiar with them?
I don't think
Doesn't, yeah, because we kind of saw the scenes,
so. The clips.
yeah, in question, right? So you don't need to see the whole thing, but yeah, I don't know. But anyway, we saw some important kind of problems with his behavior, right? We saw his characters didn't really listen to women, didn't take their rejection seriously, didn't take their anger seriously, right? And well, not he, I'm sure he's a sweet guy. His characters kind of push to get what they want, right? And they intimidated women. They kind of used their physical presence, right? They kind of would corner them or keep them from running away somehow. And in some cases, it actually went all the way to threats of violence, right? So in the Blade Runner clip, we saw Rick Deckard was threatening violence against Rachel, right? And so, yeah, this is kind of problematic, right? Especially because all of those things are framed to be romantic, right? The female characters always respond positively, right? These guys kind of don't listen to the word no and don't take women's anger seriously. And the female characters respond positively, right? They wind up kissing the guy and falling in love with him anyway, right? And so, again, it sends that message to society, but particularly to young men, that this is not, or that this is okay. This is the way it goes, right? You have to, if you want a girl, you have to keep pursuing. And if she tells you no, or if she rejects you, that's just a step in the process, right? And you just keep going until you get your yes, right? And, you can be a little bit threatening, you can be a little intimidating, you can corner her if you want to try to make sure she can't get away, but eventually you will get your yes, right? And of course that's not how we want people behaving, right? That's threatening, intimidating behavior, and in some cases it goes over the line into sexual harassment and even sexual assault, right? And we see that happen in the movies. But again, it's framed differently, right? We know Harrison Ford's characters are all the hero. We know that he's a good guy, right? His characters are good guys. And so we kind of let them get away with it, right? Or we kind of look away, right? Or we see it differently. But again, if you transplant these scenes into real life, they're ugly, right? They're ugly scenes of coercion and harassment and assault, right? They're not romantic at all, right? Yeah, and so, when we see scenes in movies like this, they kind of reinforce misogyny, they reinforce violence against women, they reinforce the idea that, women shouldn't be listened to, that women don't know what they want, right? That, women will eventually say yes if you keep pushing, right? If you keep pursuing. And again, I don't think we want to spread those messages, right? I don't think we want to socialize young men that way, because that's not healthy, right? That's not the way things are, right? So, yeah, these films are kind of an answer to a question, right? So, what's a real man like? Well, the movies say he's like this, right? And again, these characters have, other traits that are, that we can look up to, right? That we can use as role models, but their interactions with women are not one of them, right? All of these men behave badly, right? And so, again, as a bit of a, and this will actually be important for today, the important kind of concept here is consent, right? If you're going to engage in romantic or sexual behavior with someone, you need to have their consent, right? And consent is saying yes, right? But it's also saying yes when you are allowed to say no, and nothing bad will happen to you, right? If you can't say no without something bad happening to you, that's not real consent, right? It's like, hey, Zartaj, can I Can I take your coffee and drink the rest of it? Because if you don't give it to me, I'll kill you. Right? So if Sartaj gives me his coffee, that's not really consent, right? Does he really have a choice? Not really, right? What's that?
It's like I'm forced to do that.
You're-
My life was unfair.
Yeah, there's no choice there, right? You're being forced to do it, and it sounds like you have a choice, and it sounds like you said, "Okay, Mike, here's my coffee," but really,
It wasn't like voluntary.
it's not voluntary, right? If Sartaj says no, something bad will happen to him, right? So that's not real consent, right? Not in this case. So that brings us to music video. And so, Eunice, you had the little reaction yesterday to music video because we were going to talk about sexism, and you were like, "Oh boy," right? Like there's a lot, well, you felt like there was a lot of sexism in music video, I thought that was your feeling.
There's a lot. I don't watch too many music videos to begin with.
Okay. Well, we're going to watch one today and see what we can do with it, okay? So, the point here, or the underlying idea, is that in music, but particularly in pop music, there's a lot of sexism, right? And I think we've become accustomed to not paying attention to it, to not seeing it, right? Because you know how pop music is, right? It's very popular. Lots of people are listening to it. It's fun. It's catchy. It sticks in your head. That Maroon 5 song is stuck in my head, and I don't even like it, and I just can't get.
Oh my. Which one?
It's like that beautiful mistakes, da 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 da. You know that one?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh God, I don't even like it, but it's like stuck in my head, and I can't
used to like
get it out.
Sugar
You
when
still
I was in primary.
used to like what?
Sugar.
Sugar?
Maroon 5.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that one.
It's cringy now that I think of it.
It's a little cringy. It's not a bad song. It's not.
It was very, it stuck on my mind when back in like primary.
Yeah. Well, those songs are very sticky, right? They're very catchy, and they get stuck in your head. But anyway, they do have some messages that we should be critical of, and so I'm going to try to use an example today, and we'll try to work through it and see what we see. Okay? So I'll need your help. I'll need the analytical part of your brain, so you can turn that on, and we'll see what we can do. Okay? So we're going to look at Ariana Grande here. So her song 7 Rings came out, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago or so. Big hit, as was her entire album, as is seemingly every song she puts out is very popular and massive. And so what I want to do is two things. I want to look at the lyrics of the song and try to figure out what kind of messages the song is sending, okay, to either young women or men or just anybody who might be listening, okay? And then I want to look at the video and see what kind of messages are being transmitted through the video, okay? So we'll take the song itself and then the kind of video expression of it, okay? So what kind of social messages are being transmitted in this song? So here's some of the lyrics, but maybe what you could do is Google the rest of them, okay? So because I couldn't fit all of the lyrics on one slide. It's too much. So I'm going to Google the lyrics here. What's that?
I'll use my laptop.
Sure. 7 Rings lyrics. Okay, here we go. So, can I give you, I'm going to give you like 3 minutes, okay? And I'll even put it on the clock just for it to be formal, okay? 3 minutes. And what I want you to do is, again, just read through the lyrics and try to figure out what kind of messages we're getting here, okay? What are women like? What are men like? What is Ariana trying to tell us? What things are good or desirable? What things are kind of like not good or not desirable? That's what we want to pull out of this, okay? So see what you can come up with by reading through the lyrics.
7 rings, right?
Yes. Whoa.
Sounds like she's an independent woman.
Okay. 30 seconds. Hold on to that. Don't forget it. Don't forget it. Okie dokie. So there's a lot going on in here. There's a lot going on in this song. What kind of messages are we getting from it? What's she trying to tell us?
I think she mentions that the part my wrist stop watching
Uh-huh.
she doesn't need any ring.
Ah.
She needs the ring for herself, not for
Right.
a
She
partner.
doesn't.
And she's a independent woman.
Yeah.
She's rich. She can get what she wants.
Yep. So there's a lot of messages of independence, right? I don't think she needs a guy here because she says she's wearing a ring, but she ain't gonna be no missus,
Yeah.
right? So she's not interested in getting married, even though she happens
Or
to be wearing a
like
ring.
she uses she's using a ring, but like she doesn't get married. Like
Like it's for her own soul.
Yeah.
wearing a ring
Expensive
doesn't
diamond
matter.
ring is for her own soul.
Yeah, it's a ring. It's not an engagement or a wedding ring. It's
Yeah.
just a ring that she wears because that's what she wants to do, right? What?
She gets her hair done. She see it, and she likes it. She gets it.
Yeah.
She doesn't think about how expensive it would be.
What she wants, she gets. That kind of.
Yeah, right. And so, well, what's that kind of saying? Like she wants something, she likes it, she's got it, right?
Yeah.
So,
She
what's
doesn't have to care about the money, the price.
yeah.
She's rich.
She's rich. She doesn't have to care about prices or money. She can just whatever she wants, boom, she can just buy it.
Yeah.
Right?
It also mentions that she had a bad past, for which she should have been a sad person.
Yeah.
But she's not. She has become savage, and she's like the girl of her own choice.
Okay. I appreciate you cleaning that up, by the way. Thank you. So yeah, she'd been through. Does it say a breakup, or am I just reading that into? Been through some bad. Oh yeah. Okay. So she's had some hard times, right? Some bad things have happened to her. she should be sad about it, but she's not. She's come out of it tougher,
Yeah.
tougher and awesome, right?
Yeah.
When she feels sad, she stops being sad and she's awesome instead. Never mind. It's from a quote from another show. Okay, what else are we hearing? Dunya, what are we hearing here? Are you able to kind of pull anything out of this? She doesn't care about. Yeah. Yeah, it's a very showy offy song, right? She's talking about all the nice stuff she has and the fact that she can just buy more stuff if she wants to, and it's just not a big deal, right? She's got lots of cash. Yeah. Okay. What else how else would you describe this song? What else is she trying to tell us?
She doesn't hesitate when she spends money
Right?
because she said that her receipts look like phone numbers, which means like it's like very
Yeah.
a lot of zeros.
Yeah, that's my bank
She's
balance.
also trying to
Except it's a negative.
She's also trying to send the message that women don't need men to depend on them to be
Ooh.
successful or grow.
Interesting.
They
Yeah.
just can be independent and self-made, and they can do whatever they want without having the restrictions by the men.
All right. So the idea that yeah, she doesn't need a man, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't need a man to marry her. She doesn't need a man to buy her anything,
Yeah.
right? She's independent, like Dunya says. She does what she wants, right? And she's flaunting that, right? She's showing that off. Not only is she, independent and rich, but she's gonna. I think that's the savage part, right? She's gonna basically show everybody how independent and rich and can we use the word empowered?
Yeah.
Is she empowered? She has power?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh, and does she have any other kind of power? She has financial power here, obviously, right? She's
also.
what's that? Right. So she's got I guess physical attractiveness power, right?
And
She's
the last line of the verse one says, "Write my own checks like I write what I sing." She is famous. She's a singer.
Right.
She writes whatever she writes, and she sings whatever she writes.
Right. So there's some artistic power there as well, right? She's not, it's not just a bunch of producers writing her stuff and she comes in and sings it. She has control of her own music, right? She's writing her own stuff. What else is in here? So we're hearing like independence is good, right? Power is good, and she's got a bunch of different kinds of power that she's kind of showing off. Money is good, isn't it? Yeah, right. Would you say that this is a very capitalistic song? It's very based in capitalism?
Sort of. Yeah.
Kind of, yeah. Right? She's spending lots of money. Spending lots of money is good, according to her, right? And not really even paying attention to the price. She just spends, right? What does she say here? Whoever said money can't solve your problems must not have had enough money to solve them. That's a pretty cheeky thing to say, but I also think it's pretty true,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Money kind of smooths out the rough parts of life, right? And the more you have, the more you can smooth it out.
In my country, if you have money, anything is possible.
Yeah. Okay. And so anything else? So to summarize here, what do we have? We have independence, we have empowerment, we have money and capitalism and spending. We have the idea that she doesn't need a man, right? She's empowered, she's independent. we know she's beautiful. She's got lots of money. She's in control of her, artistic career, right? Anything else that we missed? Is that a good summary?
I think that's really.
Yeah, she'd rather like to spend on her friends rather than spending on guys.
Okay, so we have that idea. I guess that's another kind of restatement of the idea that she doesn't need a guy, right? Because she'd rather spend her money on her girlfriends than on
Yeah.
some dude,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Um, all right. So that's good. That's a good summary. Now just give me 2 seconds here. I'm just going to pop this into Microsoft Teams for our online people. So the next step of this process is to look at the music video and see what we see there. Okay, see what kind of messages we see in the video. Okay, so good, already there, perfect. So in Microsoft Teams, online people, you'll find the link to the video, although I'm sure you'd be able to search it out pretty easily, but it's there just for your convenience. And this is what I want you to look at when you're watching the video. Okay. First question is the same question. What kind of social messages are being transmitted from the video? Okay. Second thing I want you to pay attention to is, and this is kind of this is a different concept that we've never talked about before, but whose gaze is represented? What does gaze mean? G-A-Z-E.
Perspective.
Yeah, perspective, the act of looking, right? I'm going to direct my gaze out the window. Right. Okay, so sorry, that was very dramatic. I'm directing, so gaze is kind of who's looking, right? And so what I'm asking here is whose eyes are we looking through during this video? Okay? And third, this is our last step, is do the messages in the video, are they in alignment with the lyrics of the song, or are they different? Right? So are they kind of supporting what the song says, or are there new ideas, and are those new ideas kind of conflicting or not, or what's going on? Okay? Okay, so online people, I'll direct you to Microsoft Teams. You can watch the video, 3 or 4 minutes long. Then we'll come back and talk about some of these, okay? So we'll see you in just a few minutes. Okay, so I ask you, what kind of social messages are we seeing in the video? What are they telling us about what's good, what's bad? What is she trying to tell us? What's she trying to show us?
That she is independent woman. She doesn't need any man.
Okay.
She's rich.
So the idea that we don't need a man is kind of transmitted in the video by the fact that there are no men to be seen, right? So obviously the setting of this video is kind of like a house party, would you say?
Yeah.
Looks like a house party at Ariana's place, right? And yeah, so the independence or not needing a man is evidenced by the fact there are no men. What else are we seeing?
She's rich. She has her friends. And she treats her friends with her riches.
Right, so that shows up from the song, right? The idea that she'd like to spend money. Well, she likes to spend money, and she likes to spend it on her friends, right? What kind of evidence of money do we see in this video?
That she's wearing all those jewelries and she's having that expensive clothes.
Yeah, lots of jewelry, right? Lots of probably fancy clothes. You know, they're pouring champagne all over the place, right? That's probably very expensive. What else? What else are we seeing?
Amazing sex appeal.
What's that?
Amazing sex appeal.
There's some sex appeal in this video, right? It's not the most sexually explicit video out there, right, in terms of music videos, but yeah, there's some sexiness going on here, right, with the dancing and.
Clothing style and the dancing steps and twerking.
What did you say before the dancing?
Her clothing.
Oh, her.
sense
Okay.
And her, the dancing steps like twerking. Stuff.
Yeah.
All those things.
Yeah, so the dancing is kind of very sexy. Her dress, her outfit is very sexy, right? There's not really much to it. What else? What else are we seeing in the video?
But she's partying with her guy. She's not caring about what is tomorrow gonna bring.
She's not caring about.
What's tomorrow gonna bring?
Oh,
She's
okay.
living in the moment.
See, okay, seems like a very in the moment, carefree kind of thing. In a way, I kind of disagree with you, but that's okay because everyone has their own take on this, and that's fine. Edel and Peter, what do you think? What's she trying to? What kind of messages are being transmitted in this video?
She wants it, she gets it. She doesn't. I mean, but it's still an individual. It's that she's independent and she doesn't have to buy something.
Yeah, she's clearly kind of in charge of this video, right? It's her party, and it kind of feels like she's paid for the whole thing too, right? Edel, what do you think?
I think the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Dunya, what do you think? Are there any other messages that we've?
No, I think it's kind of the same as the acting better.
She's what?
She's acting,
I missed that. She's acting.
It's the same. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
like in terms of what we saw in the words in the lyrics. So the what we see in the video is supported by the lyrics themselves. Okay, okay. And Crazio says, yeah, she's good without a man. Okay. That's good. I think we've covered pretty much what's in there. Although maybe I'll add a few more things in, but we'll see how it goes. Now, the second question here is whose gaze is represented? So, whose eyes are we really looking through when we're watching this video? Is my question. And specifically, whose eyes? I'm like, are we looking through Ariana's eyes, or the eyes of a woman, or are we looking through the eyes of a man? Whose gaze is represented?
Man.
Why do you say that?
Because she's pointing out that she doesn't need a man.
Don't worry about what she's saying. Focus on what you see. Okay, just what you see. Not what she's singing about, but what's on the screen. Is this A male gaze or a female? Let me give you an example of the male gaze, okay? You guys have all seen this in movies somewhere, some version of this. Let's say, you know, two guys, a couple guys or a guy's in a restaurant, right? Just sitting there, whatever. And then he turns around and the girl walks in, whoever she is. And the camera like starts at her feet and goes all the way up really slowly, right? And then they get to her face and she's like shaking her hair and it's like blowing in the wind even though they're inside and there's no wind, but somehow her hair is blowing, right? That's kind of the male gaze, right? Is that, you know, where would a man look, right? Where would a man's eyes go to, right? And so again, are we looking through the eyes of a man or a woman here? Is this, you know, is this the kind of house party that Ariana might fantasize about having with her friends? Is this what she would dream about? Or is this kind of how guys might like to imagine a house party with Ariana and her girlfriends?
I think I'll get some.
What's that?
The second.
Second one? This is Ariana's or this is the guy's? Yeah, it's tricky to know, right? It's not super obvious what's going on here. But I don't know, and this, I guess this brings me to my third question: is are the messages in the video aligned with the messages of the song? And I think Dunya was kind of saying, yeah. I mean, we're seeing the money, we're seeing the wealth, we're seeing the girlfriends, right? We're seeing her act confident and empowered and powerful, right? Is there any conflict at all with what's going on here? You don't think so?
The lyrics and the music video, I think they kind of like match.
Certainly to a great degree they do, right? We're not seeing something totally bizarre, right? Sometimes we do, right? Some music videos are, you know, it's hard to know what they have to do with the song, but they're interesting to look at. Well, let me say this. Let me ask you this. So maybe I'll try and plant a seed here. In terms of sexiness, how sexy would you say this video is supposed to be? So one being like, you know, oatmeal, not sexy at all, right? There's nothing sexy about oatmeal. Two, like a 10, like holy cow, whoo, right? How sexy is this video kind of meant to be? 7?
Meant to, how is it, how sexy it's meant to be, or how sexy it is?
Whatever. What's this video supposed to be? Give me a number. 7? 7, 8? 5?
I didn't find that sexy.
Not real sexy?
No, not.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I find the sexy thing a little bit interesting here in this context because, and you can disagree with me on this, and if you do, I'd like to hear about it. But is there any sexiness in the lyrics of the song? No, right? It's not really about sex or sexiness or romance. It's not really about relationships or guys. It's not even. It's actually kind of it's a bit of an anti-guy song, right? Because she doesn't. What's that?
It's like boasting.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Boasting about it.
Yeah, she doesn't need that guy, right? So there's really no kind of sexuality in the song lyrics itself. But if Zartaj is to be believed here, then this video is kind of reasonably sexy, right? Maybe a 6, 7, maybe an 8 on the sexiness scale from oatmeal to fire, right? So why is she being so sexy, would you say, if the song is not really about that?
She wants to catch guys' attention.
She wants to catch guys' attention? Okay.
The girls wouldn't find it that sexy.
What's that?
I said girls wouldn't find it that sexy.
Yeah, girls wouldn't find it that sexy, right? Or at least heterosexual girls would not, right? They might look at her and say, "Oh, she's dressed really pretty," right? And wow, I really like her hair. Although when it's flowing down the stairs, maybe that's too long. It's a lot of shampooing, right? But yes, the sexy part of this video is probably aimed at guys, right? At sort of getting guys to watch and pay attention to the video, which I think is kind of interesting, right? Because the song lyrics say that she doesn't need a man, right? That she doesn't care, she doesn't need a ring, she's going to spend money on her girlfriends.
Yeah, that's where the conflict is.
That's where the conflict is, right? Where's the sexiness coming from, right? Why does she feel the need to be sexy in this context when the song's not really about that?
Yeah.
And of course, some songs are, right? Some songs are kind of sexy. This one's not. And so, yeah, I think that might be a little bit of a conflict in terms of she's saying one thing, and then in the video we're seeing most of the same messages, but some of the other ones, right? And maybe I'll add a few things. And the sexiness is interesting because, there's the very kind of skimpy outfit that she's wearing, right? Very sexy. Crawling around on her kitchen island on all fours. Maybe she lost a contact lens, I don't know. Probably not. That's kind of a sexy pose too, right? And again, I think it's kind of interesting. And it leads me back to question 2, is that whose gaze are we looking at here? Is this Ariana's dream house party with her girlfriends? Or is this maybe what guys might like to imagine a house party is like? Or maybe there's something for both, right? Maybe for the women there's, the girlfriends and the empowerment and the nice jewelry and the clothes, and the guys get to watch for the sexuality, sexy stuff, right? Maybe there's a little bit of stuff for everybody, right? But it is kind of interesting that sexuality thing shows up. And again, you can disagree with me here, but I think that happens a lot, particularly with female pop stars, is that the sexuality or the sexiness, they really have to bring the sexiness, right? And it almost doesn't really matter what the song is about, right? It's almost like, okay, there's this catchy song, but also how sexy can this singer be in this video, right? How much can we kind of turn up the sexiness, right? And again, some pop stars are very comfortable with, like, almost nudity, right? Almost total nudity. Ariana's a little more reserved, right? So it's a little bit dialed down, but it's still there. And I don't know, would you agree with me that there's a lot more sexiness in music and music video than there is in actual songs? Would you what? Sort of. Why do you think that is? Actually, let me ask you another question before I ask you that. Is it the same for men? Is it the same for men? Do men have to bring the same level of sexiness to their music videos as women need to bring to theirs?
You don't have to.
They don't have to?
Like it's a very it's a really rare case. Like it's very less songs than music songs, but mostly if you see the wider range, most songs by men have that message.
Right. So So men sometimes are being super sexual, but often not, right? Female pop stars are much more likely to be, doing sexy things, right? Sexy dances, crawling around, skimpy clothing, right? We see lots and lots of that, and we see it so much that we probably don't even think about it.
But Taylor Swift, Katy Perry.
Yeah, yeah. And then for men, we see that the sexiness is kind of not quite so obvious. Sometimes, right? Sometimes certain pop stars will kind of turn up the sex appeal, but much less often. And so, now I ask you, why do you think that is? Why are female pop stars, really presenting themselves in a very sexual way, whereas male pop stars don't seem to do that? Why is that? Or am I totally bananas? Am I totally wrong? I'm not
Can you
wrong?
repeat the question again?
Yeah. Why do women seem to present themselves in a much more sexual way than men in terms of pop music, pop stars?
Because they think their video might get more views,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe men think that their song is enough to get more views.
Oh, so they're trying to get views. They're trying to get people to pay attention to their music.
Yeah.
Okay, and so, and women might be more concerned that. Exactly did you say?
So their videos might get more views, like people might like their video songs rather than paying attention to actual song and pay attention to the video.
Okay,
Because
but
that's representing her sexiness and her activities.
yeah, but you said something about men and women. Women might.
Yeah, men might be like focused on their songs more than the video.
Ah, men might be focused on their songs more than the video.
Yeah, like men doesn't also make such videos, like very interesting videos. Men make like more interesting songs. Like you heard of The Weeknd?
Yeah.
If you see his videos, like his videos are not that interesting. He's like driving a car or he's like walking
Yeah.
around. But his songs are like having good beats, good music. And
Yeah.
good-
Why does The Weeknd get to make a music video where he's just driving a car, whereas Ariana's got to get like dressed to the nines and crawl around on her kitchen island? Why is that?
I think male and female like pop artists or singers, they have their own different ways, I guess, to make their song popular. 'Cause I think women might, based on the music videos I see, the songs are good, like the lyrics are like good, but
100%.
I think in the music videos, women artists tend to make it more.
Popular?
The music videos tend to be more not extra, but like the outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
But I think male artists, like, the songs are also good. I think male artists the songs are better, but
Like
the
now
music
it's
the
very-
male music videos are like, it's not like they don't it's not in a sexy way, like they don't
Yeah.
their outfits are also nice and stuff, but
Sure.
I think the way they film it and the music videos are very different.
Music videos are very different. Yeah. But I still want to know why, right?
Because
like
it's in 21st century, I see most women run against their figure, how their body looks. Like
Right.
in USA, I think from 2017 or 2018, there was like what does it like say? I cannot find the term. Like like girls gathered up and they were protesting, like free the nipples or something
Yeah.
like that. You know?
Yeah. Well,
I
there's a.
think they think like they can have a good sex appeal, and that's when they'll be liked by everyone.
Well, yeah, right. And we've talked about that before, that there's a lot of focus on women's appearance in Western society, right? Even all the way back to the toys, right? Remember the toys we looked at? We saw Barbie was kind of all about appearance, right? She was all about fashion and dressing up, right? And
We
so
need to be sweet. There's no fat Barbie.
yeah, there's no fat Barbie, right? So there's a certain kind of body type and there's fashion, and so that appearance continues to show up in pop music, right? Is that female artists tend to pay more attention maybe to their appearance than the male artists do. But I asked you again, why so sexy? Why so sexy? Not that there's anything wrong with sexiness and sexuality, but why so sexy?
Because in like society, I think that the girl's mentality is like they need to be more sexy to like get popular or to be like more powerful in society.
Huh.
Like they will get more attention, they will feel nicer by the society. But society tells them that you're looking nice, everyone will come and talk to them rather than those girls who are not sexy.
Interesting. So, not only the appearance of women is important, but you're telling me that in societal terms, the sexiness is important too. And the sexier that artists kind of present themselves as, the more people will watch and the more they'll be kind of rewarded,
Yeah.
the more successful they'll be, right? But really, only women for the most part. For men, it doesn't entirely work the same way,
Yeah.
right? Um, hmm. Okay, let's take a quick break because we've been working hard here for a while. Take a quick break, come back, and I just have maybe one or two more questions to ask you about this because I think we've made good progress so far.
Yeah.
Okay, take a quick break, and then we'll come back. Okay, and we're back. So, where we kind of were sitting, I think, is that there is an element of sexiness here in this video that maybe is a little out of place with the lyrics, maybe, if you follow me out on this here. And I think we agreed that we often see a lot more sex appeal in female pop stars videos than male pop stars videos. And I asked you, well, kind of why is that, right? Why are female videos so sexy, right? And the next question I want to ask you is, do you think it's by choice? So do you think that, let's say Ariana Grande, right? She's acting kind of sexy in this video. She's wearing a very kind of short, skimpy dress, crawling around. Do you think that she's choosing to do that, or do you think that she feels that she has to? Do you think that that's just the way she wants to be, or do you think she feels like, you know, if I don't do this, people aren't going to pay attention to my music? And you can think about this for any pop star if you're not a, you know, if you're not a huge Ariana Grande fan, or if you're not too familiar with her.
Maybe somewhere in between.
Somewhere in between? Okay. What do you think, Dunya? Do you think this is kind of Ariana's choice? Is this how she wants her video to be, or do you think she feels pressure to kind of be this kind of sex kitten thing she has going on here? Not sure? What do you think, Peter, Edel?
I'm very sure it's between something like, on one hand she, like it's really her choice, I mean she's on the boss there. But then maybe like she thinks that if she doesn't do like this, people won't notice it or something. So
Yeah, could be. Edel, would you agree with that, or do you think something different? Agree with that? Zartaj and Eunice, can you look something up for me? Can you Google it really quickly? So Eunice, can you Google can you Google exploitation? Okay, exploitation, and Zartaj, you're going to Google empowerment. Because this is kind of what we're talking about here. This is what we're balanced between, is that are we seeing, not just with Ariana, but with other pop stars, are we seeing sexual empowerment, or are we seeing sexual exploitation? So, Zartaj, you got empowerment there?
Yeah.
What's empowerment?
It's authority or power given to someone to do something.
Okay, so authority or power, right? So in this case, sexual empowerment is like your sexuality and your sexual energy gives you power, and you're kind of expressing it to the world in a confident way. Eunice, what's exploitation?
To make productive use.
Okay, there might be another one though. Another.
Make full use of and your benefit from. I don't know how you say.
Okay. Let me just check here. Okay, this is what I'm looking for here. Sorry, Eunice. Exploitation is the act of selfishly taking advantage of someone in order to profit from them or benefit yourself, right? So when you exploit something, you're kind of using it for your own benefit, which is kind of like the definition that you used, Eunice, but it's a little different. So for female pop stars here, like Ariana, are we seeing sexual empowerment, or are we seeing sexual exploitation? Is she acting in this sexy way because she is sexy and she feels sexy and she's going to kind of show that to the world? Or are people kind of encouraging her or kind of pushing her to act sexy for their own reasons, to kind of make money off her? What's going on?
Sexual exploitation.
Okay.
Giving power.
Okay, so Zartaj thinks sexual exploitation. Eunice, what do you think this is? Sexual exploitation or empowerment? Is she empowered by her sexuality, or is her sexuality being used to make money? Yeah. Is her sexuality kind of natural? Is she like feeling it and showing it to the world in a confident way? Or are people kind of pushing her to act sexy in order to make money? In simple terms. Dunya, what do you think?
I
What-
think it's a problem.
It's all okay.
Maybe somebody is talking all of this together, but I think it's kind of like
Yeah. And you're right. To some degree, I mean, nobody can force her to do this, right? That's very true. Peter and Edo, what do you think?
I think if like somebody forced her, there would be a huge scandal.
Sure.
Like looking at like other pop stars, like women pop stars, for example, let's say Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, Doja Cat, like all of them in their videos, it's like they all have sexual videos.
Yeah.
They all have, and I'm pretty sure it's like just their choice because they want to show it.
You're pretty sure you think it's.
I mean, knowing Ariana Grande is like she, in comparison to like Nicki Minaj, Cardi B, and Doja Cat, she seems like a nice girl.
Yeah.
But then this video is like I don't know. Maybe she changed. Maybe she's just using it to achieve something.
Yeah, could be, right? It could be like she's trying to mold her image from the video, right? Also, I'm going to thank you. I'm going to shout out to Doja Cat because I think she's incredible. She's a great musician. She could probably turn down the sexiness too, and it would be okay. But yeah, I like her music and her writing. Yeah, she's great. Edel, what do you think? Yeah, nobody can.
yeah, nobody can force you or force her to.
And-
It's her choice.
Okay. And I think you're correct. I think you're correct in that. But let me try and complicate that just a little bit. Now, let's say Ariana's being kind of sexy here, right? And she often is, right? There's a certain amount of sex appeal that goes into her image, the really short skirts and stuff like that. Now, if Ariana said, you know what, I don't think I don't want to sort of express my sexuality quite so much in my music. I think I'm going to just tone it down, right? I'm going to wear kind of regular clothes like regular people do. I'll look nice, but I'm not going to be super sexual. I'm not going to be crawling around on my hands and knees anywhere. I'm just going to go out and just, write my music and sing it. And that's who I'm going to be. I'm going to remake my image a little bit. Do you think that she would be more successful that way or less? Would she sell more music or less?
I think less.
Probably less, right?
No, because people that they like her, they wouldn't care about it.
Yeah.
That's true, right?
Even
So,
if you, like, not saying anything, but depending on the person, but mostly,
yeah.
then it's more like the dance to be not like cheering.
Yeah, her true fans will definitely follow her, right? And her true fans will be like, we don't care. We love her music. We're going to listen to her anyway. And we probably should say here that like she's a phenomenal singer, right? In that song she's kind of phoning it in. She's not really working very hard, but when she like lets loose, holy smokes, right? She can.
Please.
Well, yeah, she can. She's an incredible singer, right? Incredible singer. But yeah, it's interesting, and I think if she dialed back the sexy, right? If she just said, "I'm gonna dress, in a more conservative way and just sing my songs," and she probably wouldn't be as successful. And Dunya's right. I think that her core fans would follow her, right, and would still buy her music. But a lot of people, I think, might lose interest, unfortunately. And so I ask you this, and I'm circling back to that idea of consent, right? Consent is where you say yes, but if you say no, nothing bad will happen to you, right? That's true consent. So, is it the same here, right? is Ariana, is she sexually empowered? Is she showing off her sexuality? Or is she being exploited in order to make money? And I ask you, or I submit to you, that it has to do with consent. Can Ariana say no to the sexy stuff and nothing bad will happen?
I don't think so.
Well, it depends on perspective. You know, like if she is not going to be successful, like if I was her, let's say, I wouldn't need people who watch the clip, not listen to music, because musician is like the point of musician is making music, not videos.
I agree with you.
And like if there are a lot of people, like there are fans, and you're making music. So for me, for example, it would be like very sad, to know that I'll be more successful, like twice as successful as I'm right now, if only by people who watch the sexual stuff,
Right.
Who don't listen to music. So why would she? I mean, yeah, she wouldn't be as successful.
Yeah.
But still, she would have a honor, right?
Yeah. Well, and keep in mind, right, is that, some of this is economic, right? Because, she's kind of phrased it in, she writes her own songs and sings her songs, and the money pours in, and yeah, I guess it does go on, like it does happen that way. But she's with a major record label, right? So they're paying her in advance, right, before her album comes out, right? They're paying for recording studio time and producers. When she goes on tour, they're putting out the money to run the tour, right? Because you have to spend millions of dollars before you even sell a single ticket, right? And so somebody has to sort of put up the money for you to go on a world tour. And yeah, you make money at the end, but you need to put up millions and millions of dollars just to get that show designed and built and out on the road. Yeah, and like you start making money later, right? And so all of that stuff is kind of funded by record companies or production companies. And so if she dials down the sexy and, fewer people are listening to her music and fewer people are buying her music, then, record companies aren't going to give her as much, right? They're not going to give her as much of an advance. Production companies, when she goes on tour, might say, yeah, Ariana, you used to sell out stadiums, but we're looking at your record sales, and I don't think that, like, we're not going to rent a stadium for you because you're not going to fill it. So we're going to go with smaller venues, right? And so everybody makes less money. She makes less money, right? Her career kind of slows down. And so this is what I'm saying is nobody can make her act sexy, but if she doesn't act sexy, there's going to be a lot of negative consequences for her. And that might be okay, right? She might say, you know what? I would be happy being a sort of middle level star rather than the top, right? Maybe I'm okay with that. Maybe that will be acceptable to me. Yeah. 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 It doesn't have to be. Well, I think, for the most part, and I think Peter would agree with you, that like it really shouldn't be, right? Like it shouldn't really be all about that. But I'm kind of making the argument that for her and for other female pop stars, it actually does matter. And it shouldn't, like I don't think it should, but I think it does, unfortunately. And in part, their careers benefit from that image and from all of that sexualization. Don't agree with me? It's okay if you don't. You don't have to. But I'm simply suggesting that, I think they do benefit from it. And so it becomes a tricky decision, right? Are they, when we see Ariana or when we see another female pop star being super sexy, are they expressing their sexuality? Are they doing what they want? Or are they doing it because there will be negative consequences for them if they don't? Right? And again, if that's the case, I think we're almost moving into a little bit of sexual exploitation area, right? Where, there will be negative consequences if some of these women say no, right? And maybe not Ariana, right? Maybe Ariana's got, the skill and the sort of cultural presence to be able to do that, but maybe other pop stars don't, right? Maybe they're less, people are not going to forget about Ariana Grande tomorrow. She's been too successful, right? She's had too many successful songs. Nobody's going to forget about her tomorrow. But there's other pop stars who maybe are just, rising. They're just kind of coming onto people's radar. And, if they decide, I'm not doing this stuff anymore, they might disappear and no one will ever hear from them again, right? And so, yeah, it depends, I think there's a gender aspect to this, but it also depends on how successful you've already been. And Ariana can probably get away with stuff that maybe not every musician can, right? Because she's just so popular. So I don't know. I'm going to suggest that to you and just let you. I'm just going to leave that with you. Again, you don't have to agree with me on this. I don't think I'm wrong, but of course, if I thought I was wrong, I wouldn't be telling you. But I'll leave it with you to kind of think about. So that's all I have for you today. You can pack it up. Again, you have no school tomorrow for secondary, right? Secondary is on a professional development day, so I will be working, but you will not. However, if you have a university transfer class, university classes are still going. They're not affected by this, okay? So university classes you still have tomorrow. Secondary, you're free, okay? So that is it. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on Monday, okay? What's next? 21, 22, 23, 20. Halloween's next week, right?
Yeah.
The end of next week, Halloween?
I don't think I'm dressing up. I have
Eunice,
no idea.
that is unacceptable, and I will fail you if you don't dress up. No.
I will dress up as myself.
No. You have to dress. Dressing up is so fun.
I think it's the later we.
You think it? I feel like we'd probably do it on the Friday, because on the Monday we're already into November, so I think it would probably be on the Friday the 29th. Bye, online people. See you. Have a good weekend.